In a world of shifting sand, where do you build your marriage? Welcome to A House Upon the Rock, Forging an Unshakable Marriage, a series dedicated to exploring the timeless biblical principles that can turn a fragile house into a fortress of faith. I am Wayne Hudson, a man who has dedicated over 24 years to counseling, ministering to families, and being a biblical relationship counselor at the Home of Grace Ministry in Van Cleve, Mississippi. Hello, friends, and welcome back to A House Upon the Rock. I'm so glad you're with me today as we dive into a topic that is so foundational, it can change the entire trajectory of your marriage. Today, we're talking about why you need to stop hoping for a great marriage and start deciding to have one. Now, before you think I'm being a little harsh, let me share some startling statistics with you. Here in America, about 50% of all first-time marriages end in divorce. That's a coin toss, folks. But it gets worse. For second marriages, the rate jumps to around 67%. For a third time, 86%. And for a fourth marriage, it's a staggering 95%. It's no wonder we have more attorneys per capita than any other country. We're making a mess of things. But I want you to know, this isn't a new problem. This isn't unique to our century. In the New Testament, in cosmopolitan cities like Corinth, divorce was very common and easy to get, just like today. And that's where the Apostle Paul steps in 1 Corinthians chapter 7. He confronts this very issue. You see, God's plan from the very beginning, from Genesis, was for a man and woman to become one flesh. Jesus himself repeated this and said, "What therefore God has joined together, let no man separate." The prophet Malachi tells us God's personal feelings on the matter. I hate divorce. So when Paul addresses the believers in Corinth, he's not giving friendly suggestions from a marriage counselor. He's delivering divine commands from our Lord Jesus Christ. He gives three powerful instructions. To the wife, do not leave. To the husband, do not send his wife away. And if a separation has already happened, the command is to be reconciled. There's no sympathy here for what we call irreconcilable differences. The command is to stay committed, to bloom where you're planted. I knew a woman whose husband of nearly 40 years had given her a run for her money. Early on, there were drinking and gambling problems. They had moved over 15 times during their marriage because of his work. When someone asked her how she dealt with all of that, she just smiled and said, "I've just learned to bloom where I'm planted." What a beautiful picture of contentment. She had committed to her marriage and became content within it. She wasn't just hoping things would get better. She had decided to honor her commitment. And that power of decision, it's something I see every single day in my work at the Home of Grace. For over 2 decades, I've watched men and women arrive at our ministry in Van Cleve completely broken by addiction, their lives in ruins. But then they are introduced to the power and peace of Jesus Christ, and they make a decision. They decide to surrender, to fight, to build a new life on a solid foundation. That decision is where the miracle begins. If you or someone you love is trapped and needs that new beginning, I urge you, please visit us at homeofgrace.org or find us on Facebook. This brings me to a story I heard about a fellow who was people watching at an airport. He saw a man get off a plane and greet his family. He watched as this father hugged his young son, then his older son, then lovingly took his baby girl from his wife's arms. Finally, he turned to his wife. He handed the baby to their son and gave his wife a long, passionate kiss. The fellow watching was amazed and finally walked over and said, "Wow, how long have you two been married?" Without breaking his gaze from his wife, the man said, 12 years now." The fellow watching replied, "I hope my marriage is still that passionate after 12 years." And that's when the father's expression changed. The smile left his face. He looked the man straight in the eye with an intensity that burned right into his soul and said, "Don't hope, friend. Decide." Then he smiled, shook the man's hand, said, "God bless," and walked away with his family. The fellow who came to meet the traveler finally walked up and asked him, "What you looking at?" And without hesitation, he replied, "My future." Friends, that is the message today. Stop wishing for a better marriage and decide to have one. Don't hope for a great marriage. Decide that you'll have one. Don't hope for a great relationship with God. Decide to have one. Don't hope for a ministry in His service. Decide to have one and seek it out relentlessly. Don't hope to take a trip to a foreign mission field someday. Decide and begin planning. Don't hope to have more time to spend with your family. Decide then, make the time. Don't hope that your children, extended family, co-workers will become Christians. Decide that you will share God's plan of redemption with them. Today I have one of the greatest formulas for having lasting peace in your marriage. Here it is. Don't hope that it will happen someday. Decide that it will. Stop wishing you had a better marriage. Decide to have one. This world is filled with people who are hoping for things that will never become a reality, because hoping is all they're doing. But when you decide to do something, when you commit to it, that's when things begin to happen. So I'm telling you with all my heart, stop all that hoping. Start deciding. Thank you for joining us for A House Upon the Rock. If today's message has spoken to you, we encourage you to subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, may you build your house not on the shifting sands of hope, but on the solid rock of a firm decision.